Hello, everybody. It's good to have you back. I'm going to talk about a cryptocurrency called Luna today. I'm also going to give you my top 10 cryptocurrencies to invest in. I gave you my crypto portfolio a number of episodes ago. That was just to give you, I was just trying to give you information away, basically. I don't know that that was the best way to explain these are the cryptos I think you should invest in. But anyways, my thoughts on what you should invest in have changed for in terms of cryptocurrency. So I'm giving you like an update on my portfolio, but I'm just giving you top 10 cryptos to invest in. Or basically what my top 10 is. It'll be a really practical top 10, like as unmisleading as possible, like as I'm trying to make it as little to do with like my individual predictions. Like I'm trying to make it as rational as possible. But like basically what I believe are literally the best to invest in that you could actually make money off of. Assuming that the entire market goes up at all, or I mean, if the entire thing crashes, then that top 10 will be pretty worthless, but so no promises regardless. And additionally, I'm not your financial advisor, as it turns out. So I'm sorry if you thought that I was. Not necessarily will I bring you to financial prominence through my words, but I can try. Like, not necessarily am I God, but if I think I am enough, then something special is going to happen, or you'll be rich, or I'll be rich, or something. And that's how this podcast works. I don't mean to downplay my efforts today. I'm really here to promote my efforts, and that's why I'm recording this at all. Like for example, you're not going to make money off of something that you don't record, like the like things that I would think and then that I don't record. There's no way they don't translate into money of any kind. And by that I mean like I can actually get listens off of something I record, but I can't get listens off of things that don't get recorded. But it's like an important factor for something having value is that it's recorded. But like if you create a new business is also what I'm talking about. Like there's nothing on record if you don't make a business. Like an important step is like once something is recorded is in some senses the point at which it can have value. If I don't record things I say, then I can't make money off of them or whatever. I have expressed these sentiments before. I didn't want to start out talking about something as boring as that, but I'll talk about as much as I know about the cryptocurrency Luna in a minute. I'll get to my top 10. So at the end of the last episode, I was talking about the relationship between safety and time and something that Christians do with both of those. I guess I wanted to explain that further, and because it's not, I guess it wouldn't really be evident why safety is the same thing as time. But so I was trying to explain why that is true. Like, I was kind of saying that Christians do this thing where they hoard safety, basically. They hoard safety, but safety is kind of recognizable by you at any moment, the same way that time is. Like, time is only there at the point that you recognize it. This, like, going along with that, it's just a perception or up to interpretation by whoever's interpreting it. Like time is something that you can recognize in any moment as long as you're saying that it's there or whatever. It's like, and it's like safety is as possible as that, I would say. Because like as long as you're sitting in a room and you're breathing, you're safe. You would be allowed to recognize that you're safe. Like relatively, you might be really anxious about something coming up or whatever, but it'd be like somewhat of a lie to say that you're not safe at any moment. Um, yeah, I'm just saying that like Christians are they're collecting safety when safety is abundant. Safety is is available for you anywhere. It's like it's a similar thing to what time is, but like time isn't really like, unless you're giving a name to it, it's just like the continuous motion that's happening. That's like what you people call it the fourth dimension. Um, and that is like a pretty unspecific description, but like it's just the motion that's happening, like, oh, this moment, and then there's a new moment that's always happening, and it's not like necessarily meant to be captured as anything. It's kind of the same with safety. Like safety isn't necessarily meant to be captured as anything, but it does. Um, like it's just like it is kind of an illusion at the point at which you capture any one of these things as anything, but it's the same thing as words. We do have to translate the world around us into something. And so, like, it's kind of intangible that I would refer to that there's a lot of nefarious activity going on with the capturing of safety, but it is like, to the extent that you'd refer to it as the gathering of magic, which is something that Christians do or that any religion is doing, but that anybody anywhere is doing. Everybody is like gathering magic. Like when Joe Rogan creates the Joe Rogan experience, that's kind of the result of magic that he's gathered in the specific belief system of what he believes in, and then what that translates into. Like he kind of, and by that I mean that he has to be separate and create a separate environment, separate belief system, and like ultimately something that translates into like a religion of its own or a cult of its own. The Joe Rogan following, it's just like the borders of it aren't as strict, or you wouldn't be able to see where the borders of it are because it's just like available to everybody on the internet. But like he on his own has to do something like gather magic. Like Mike Krzyzewski has to, like, when you think about how much goes into a head coach of a college basketball program, how much that they do to keep the program running, like they're basically the head of recruiting, so they're choosing the players that are going to end up being on the team. They're filtering out among recruits who would be good for the program. They're choosing recruits, and then they're trying to manipulate those recruits to come to their university. So they like have to, like, Krzyzewski has to do a lot of manipulating when you think about it, to get players to come to Duke, and have them stay there, and also just when they're on the court, that to score and to win, like in timeouts, like whatever he's telling them to help them win, or just his coaching to help them win. Like he has to do a lot of manipulating of coaches and players to get all the success that he does. And it's kind of like you have to manipulate energy itself in order to be successful at any level, anywhere, as a company. Or like, so Krzyzewski has to manipulate a lot of energy and to translate that into like however many wins he has over his career and championships. Like, so he's actually a really good mage or magician or something like that. Like, or like he's engaging in magic. I'm like, the amount of manipulation of energy, it's kind of like when you understand it to be manipulation, you see that he does have to use people for certain purposes and whatever. But like, anybody's being successful, like what I do with making this podcast, you could almost refer to it as like I'm gathering these thoughts in my head, and then when I get enough of them, then I translate it into an episode that could be redeemed for cash at some point. Or but it's like, it's kind of like gathering magic, but words. You may have heard it said that words are kind of like magic spells. Any word is like a tool, and they are different tools you do use for different purposes. You can use them on people. Like, there's a lot more that's going on in the world in terms of like manipulation, and even just having friendships, or anything like friendships or romantic relationships both involve some amount of manipulation from both parties. And like, it's there's magic. There's magic involved, like Magic the Gathering, the card game. is the more successful you are at it. With, like, if you've ever played that game, it's basically like you build up an army through the cards that represent different figures, or like warriors that are fighting for you, or rules that help you out. But you have to collect the cards, and then the cards that you have are like the aggregate scenario that you are proposing and entering into the game against other people's scenarios. But they're like, it's a collection of spells that you're playing. But the better that you're doing in the game is the more safe that you're going to be as a person that's orchestrating all of it. It's like you're trying to be safe. Like being safe is like being successful or winning, or like having almost like having the most money or the most firepower. Like if you win Magic the Gathering, you had the most firepower and like dominated everybody else, and you like that makes you the most safe. But like if we're referring to safety, it's like characteristically it's kind of like winning because that's what people call it or refer to it as. Like if they want to be safe or comfortable, like you're gonna be more comfortable the more money that you get. So like, and Christians kind of do, since they have so many people, they aggregate and collect and hoard comfort and safety. And so this isn't like evil, or it's intangible that I would be able to describe. Like what's well, what is the real problem when there are so many people doing it? It's like an obvious enough thing that the world can kind of see that it's happening. But it's like, I would say that the world kind of turns a blind eye to it. But I guess ultimately what it ends up being, from my standpoint, what I'm saying about Christianity is kind of like an ultimate conspiracy or something. So I guess you can have an ultimate conspiracy that goes after the greatest collectives, or that goes after the greatest individuals, because both of them exist and both of them are hidden to different degrees. But like Will Smith slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars, I didn't say anything about that yet. And so it's maybe I am too late to the game, but I think that that is not the case. Because actually, maybe it's better to let the dust settle for something and have a more educated take on it, or think about it for a minute, rather than just have an impulsive reaction. Because if you have an impulsive reaction, then you're just acting like Will Smith. And everybody agrees that he sucks, apparently. I would say that you don't really need to crucify the guy for one mistake, and like everybody wants to act like it undoes the last, whatever he did the last 25 years. Like, sorry that Will Smith provided you quality entertainment for 25 years in a row, America, and then did one mistake. And so, I guess we just write him off. I guess he doesn't count anymore because he did one thing in one moment. It's just like a Christian culture that overemphasizes conversion moments. I apologize that I want to bring it back to Christianity, like because I'm in danger then, because I bring it up so much of this, like clearly I'm just like think there's this giant Christian conspiracy or something, especially when I'm talking about how Gonzaga is Catholic, which I did a couple episodes ago. Gonzaga University, college basketball, they're Catholic, and I think that their fan bases are controlling games. Let me go on the record and say that I think that that take is mostly bullshit. Like 9.5 out of 10 of that take is bullshit. That Gonzaga's fan base is Christian, they're manipulating the referees. I think it's bullshit. I went back and looked at some of their games. Like I was a little wary of the run that Gonzaga made when they made it to the championship game 2 seasons ago, where they played Baylor and lost. But I looked at some of their games, and the foul counts weren't really pointed in their direction necessarily. And I think that I just got ahead of myself with that. I don't think that that's true. What is a little bit true about the take is that there is sort of a shift in college basketball towards Christian universities, where Christian universities seem to be more and more successful, and they do have like more fervent fan bases, especially in comparison to, like, there's been a little bit of a downtrend for ACC teams. I know that this past season, there's actually 2 ACC teams in the Final Four this past March Madness. The ACC did well, but RPI wise, there is a noted drop off from this season to past seasons for the RPI of teams in the ACC. The ACC is one of the biggest college basketball conferences. It's probably been the best and biggest one for the last, it's been like the best college basketball conference for the last 25 years, but they've had like a drop off in computer rated rankings for their teams like in this past year. And so you could make something of that or say it's just random. I think that there's maybe a certain amount of liberalism that's creeping into East Coast teams that makes their fan bases a little less loud, is maybe part of it. But like maybe there's a little bit of a drop off in fervency of East Coast team fan bases because of wokeness, because of the virus of liberalism, maybe goes against sports a little bit. But like you could say maybe that's the case, but I'm saying that Christian fan bases, like Christianity probably isn't going anywhere, and there's this certain integrity that stabilizes them, that universities that are just like state universities are losing some amount of integrity in recent years. Oh. My God. My thing paused. I don't know. My audio recording paused. I wonder where... I'm going to have to keep that running for a minute, so you just give me a minute, because if I don't know, if I stop it, it'll go out. But I gotta figure out where it paused. I gotta go listen to it so I can figure out where I stopped talking so I can pick it back up. Let's see what we got here. Let's see what we got, boys. And by that I mean just me. No need to panic. Okay, looks like we didn't lose too much of it. Okay, I'm just gonna restart it. Crisis averted. I'm gonna take that out. Hopefully it'll record. Boom. Hey, the thing cut out, or like I paused it inadvertently, so I'm gonna continue talking where I left off. But I kept the recording going on the video, and then the video kept going. And then I looked over and saw that my thing had stopped, but I only lost like about a minute maybe of what I was saying. But what I'm saying is that there's some amount of integrity that gets lost in like college basketball programs that are just based on that universities, like state-sponsored universities, maybe because of more of a lack of faith in government or academia itself. But it's like, I'd say that Christianity hasn't lost anything necessarily, or like hasn't lost as much, but they would, because they're like religious, there's a certain amount of integrity that they can always go back to. And I think that maybe explains something like the rise of Gonzaga, where Gonzaga is the trend is that Gonzaga keeps getting better and better. Like they're about to be the greatest team in college basketball, like give it just enough years. And they're Catholic, but maybe it's like having a religious affiliation actually helps you just in terms of integrity versus like academia. There's some eroding that's happening in the American education system, it like might help to be a Christian university. And I'd say that there is some you see it in like the fan bases for Christian universities are usually always pretty fervent, like Abilene Christian kind of things. But there's a lot of teams like that that have some religion that there's a lot of them in March Madness. I don't know if there's more necessarily that make it into March Madness year over year, but so the whole thing might be bullshit. But like the part where I'm saying the Christian fan bases control the refs is mostly bullshit. So I apologize for that. But it's like what I started talking about Will Smith, and then I got into this, right? About did I bring up Will Smith yet? I mean, I thought that I mentioned it, but then I went off on a tangent. I wonder if I lost it in that minute that I lost when I was talking and the thing was paused. But I want to say that Will Smith, he did that whole thing, where he just like whatever. I think that you don't need to crucify the guy because it's like, oh, just forget. Oh, yeah. And then I started talking about it's because it's a Christian country that emphasizes conversion moments like, oh, he did one thing and now that defines him for all the rest of eternity. I think that there's just a lot of backlash that the country, we're still pissed at Hollywood people for thinking that they have power to say whatever over our lives when we just decided to have the perception that like, oh, we don't value what you're able to do as much anymore, like acting. But the comedy, like comedian is a little bit of an evolution of celebrity, a little bit. You see it happening. It's possible that in the future, what we used to do, like people used to move to California to be actors, in the future it would appear something like the same kind of energy reforms itself as people moving to Texas to be comedians. And like it would have to do with that comedian is a more valuable thing to be, like that it survives past celebrity, but not celebrity though. Like the way that it actually is like comedian is an evolution on actors because comedians have more value than actors. But when Will Smith slaps Chris Rock, I think it's possible that I think that that's a fight between gangs, giant gangs, comedians and actors, and all of the actors are on the side of actors. These are giant gangs, and this is a moment where the two of them confront each other, but it's like they do it both, like Will Smith the actor confronts Chris Rock the comedian, and they're both like their fields are represented. Like Will Smith does it kind of dramatically, and he's wearing a tuxedo like it's part of a movie. Like he's representing actors, and Chris Rock is a good representation of comedians because he is like a little bit of a caricature of comedians themselves. Like he's kind of like this career comedian, like Jerry Seinfeld, and he's a good representation, just quintessential of comedians, I would say, because he sounds funny. Sort of like his hair. I mean, he sounds funny. He sort of looks funny. Don't call me a racist. Like, he's a good representation for a comedian. And Will Smith slapped him. I think that it's something that it's possible that Will Smith has thought about doing something like this on multiple occasions, or it's something that he and Jada have talked about. That's what I think, is that he's thought about slapping a comedian on stage for making jokes because he is like a quintessential actor from Hollywood, and he like something needs to be done about the comedians and the gang that has arisen that's so challenging to the actor's way of life, like to the point that like comedians are siphoning off so much power and money from the acting world over the last 5 years that like, oh, the actors are probably thinking about what they can do in order to stop this from happening. Like actors need to still be in the game or like maintain their relevance, and this is something you see. Like Will Smith is just kind of taking responsibility on behalf of all of actors, stepping up and standing up to these comedians that are taking so much money and power, and like I wouldn't be surprised if it's something he's been thinking about doing for a while. Or like if the right moment presents itself, then I will do it or something like that. And then like that happened, and then Jada looked at Will Smith, or like maybe they've talked about it before, because they're they're totally about themselves and like protecting their family and what their family finds valuable, and their family's fame is mostly built on Will Smith's acting, and you see what lengths they go to defend and promote their own family. I think that it's just like, this is a rivalry between gangs, and you don't need to crucify Will Smith for doing that. He probably, and for the same reason that's why he got a standing ovation when he accepted his actor award for he wasn't just nominated anymore, then he won. When he won Best Actor, and all of the actors in the room gave him a standing ovation, they don't care about him slapping Chris Rock. They all want to do the same thing, probably, because they hate comedians. And then what results is all of the comedians are the people that have the influence today, and they are the ones who control the narrative more than actors. And so what results is everyone hates Will Smith, and like, for the same reason that we've just been shitting on celebrities the last few years. A lot of that comes out of the mouths of comedians that have podcasts and shit like that. But it's because, like, the reason comedians are siphoning off power and money is because they have a more valuable talent, like, that comes through, and at some point that talent allows for them to control the narrative because they can make podcasts but actors can't. Like, and so they deserve the money and the power and that kind of thing. But you see that all of the comedians, they all band together behind Chris Rock. Not a single one of them is like, oh yeah, Will Smith did the right thing or whatever. But it's like, I think that if you're being honest about it, you could interpret it a couple ways, or like, you could see what Will Smith did as noble. I think that it's noble in the eyes of actors. It's just that actors don't control any of the narrative anymore. But that's why he's slapping him, is to try to get the narrative back. So it's like a feeble attempt. So it's like, because nobody really he doesn't know, and nobody does, how the world exactly is going to react right after that happens, because it does break down something between the audience and the comedian, where it's like, oh, it's okay to slap them now, which it's like, that might help deteriorate the power that comedy has. So it's like, it's not a bad move. I think it's a strategy, but it's just that it doesn't work out because comedians ultimately don't care, I don't think, about being slapped. Like, that's another part of them having more utility than actors. Is that they're going to just go on record and say bullshit that they're responsible for as comedians, and like, they have more balls than actors anyway. Like, and so it doesn't really work, because like, part of the reason why comedians are siphoning off the power is because they already don't care a lot about somebody coming up and like slapping them on the stage. Like, it's not gonna deter a comedian who are already going up there getting, like, you're already getting shit just for telling jokes, like when people don't laugh or anything like that. It's already difficult. So it was a nice try. And I don't know that it's going to be remembered as poorly as we remember it now. Like, things might come back around where we're like, oh, that was all right. But it's kind of weird how it's completely one-sided. We're like, no, he definitely did the wrong thing. When everybody's like, tries to be so accepting of everybody, it's kind of like when we found out that Ellen DeGeneres was mean. And it's interesting at that point when you realize, oh, there are things that the world all agrees you can't do, like be mean or slap somebody. It's like, as if there isn't another, like, a positive way of looking at it. But it's like, he made a mistake. Ultimately, you really don't have to kill him. He was pretty successful. Like, we lauded him and gave him this platform over the last 25 years. And it's kind of two-faced to just tear him down over a thing that he did. But it's like, this he's been crying out for attention for a number of years. He's been making mistakes that everybody's just like, that doesn't matter. Like, he's been completely untouchable for the last 10 years, even though he makes mistakes and says like I'd say the way that he defends his family might be a little bit out of line, but just like that, the climate surrounding the Smith family for the last 5 years is just that, well, you can't criticize them, and it's kind of like they're a religion or something that has resources. Like, oh, you can't criticize Jaden or Willow, and what results on in social media is like just a lot of positive for everybody in their family, even when they do stupid things. Like, he made After Earth, and that was a shitty movie, but like it doesn't affect him. And he was in that YouTube Rewind video at the beginning and the end of it, like the 2018 one, which is like one of the worst YouTube videos of all time, like one of the cringiest videos. And Will Smith began it and ended it, and ultimately nobody cared or faulted him for it. They're like, oh, he's really great. So like, there's been bullshit he's been doing that somebody should have canceled him for like a couple times, but everyone's like, oh yeah, they're really great because they're kind of afraid of his family. But like, I don't know, now finally is the point at which the world is okay with criticizing his family. It would have happened anyway. It might have taken gradually a number of years, but now everybody gets to do that all at once, criticize his family and what they believe in, whatever. Like Jaden Smith's music career is just kind of like, that people believe in that is a farce. I'd say it's a farce, Jaden's music career, but you can't say that because like, hey, Will Smith's family is really great or something. Maybe you can say it now. Willow's a pretty good singer, I'd say. But so there's all of that. And why do I talk about that when I'm talking about a cryptocurrency? You're not asking, but only I'm asking. Like, you wouldn't have asked that because you already know that I would talk about anything during the hour. But I wanted to bring up the point that I'm talking about Luna today, the cryptocurrency, and all of this episode is under that title, but cryptocurrencies, one thing that's interesting about them is advertising. You get to advertise with the name without any risk of copyright infringement. Basically, as long as the cryptocurrencies are what they say they are, peer-to-peer platforms, transferable to anybody, like, there isn't this litigious company that's going to come after you for using their name, because it's decentralized and it's not owned by anybody. So like, if all of that is true, you can also make YouTube videos about it, and like, you can use the name as much as you want. It's the same thing as a word, where like a word is usable by anybody. You're not going to be at risk for copyright infringement for having a take about an idea or a word. But like, you can, and so what I'm doing is adding value to the cryptocurrency, literally, because I'm giving you a representation of it, which is my own unique one. I'm giving you a representation of it that collects a number of things, but it's like a part of the cryptocurrency now is this take on Will Smith that I have. But it's like, when this Will Smith thing happens, everybody has a take on it because everybody is buying up territory in the new world that has resulted from this event that happened, and like, everybody is taking up different stances, and so I am throwing in my plot of land for that take into this episode that I'm making just to add value to it, or like encryption or something. But it kind of just goes to serve Luna itself because I'm giving them publicity, but they couldn't come after me anyway, and they don't, and that's why thousands of people make YouTube videos like crypto channels. It's just that my channel, my podcast, is better than other people's crypto channels because they don't care to give you very much context or backstory for these cryptocurrencies. Most of them are there to just tell you to buy right now for the one that everybody agrees is the hottest in the moment. I'm trying to tell you about the cryptocurrencies themselves, and so like, ultimately I would argue that makes me a better standard for them. So like Luna, so I'm giving you a take on Luna, and it's like, and that's part of what I offer today to you, and that's what I'm giving to you. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like you can advertise for it in its name if you want to, but so I'm going to give you what I'd say are the top 10 cryptocurrencies that you should invest in. Like I said, this is as rational a list that I could come up with. I'm not trying to be clever is what I'm saying. I'm trying to give you what are the best to invest in. Number 10 best to invest in is Cosmos. And I'd say Cosmos is good because you can invest in it on either Coinbase or Binance.us if you live in the US. You can invest on it on both of those applications, their exchanges, and you accrue interest for Cosmos on both of those. You get a certain percentage back of what you invested, or it's kind of like you get you get what you would get if you were staking in it, but all you have to do to stake Cosmos on Coinbase or Binance.us is just buy it, and as long as you're buying it and holding it, after like a month on Binance.us, it'll tell you like, oh, you made some money, like a few cents or something, but it gives you money back. Cosmos does, and on Coinbase, it might tell you a little bit sooner, or like weekly, it tells you that you're getting money for it. So that's one reason why Cosmos is good, is because you can see the rewards, and other cryptocurrencies don't do that. Basically, none of them do that. You're holding it, and then you accumulate money while you're holding it. But also, Cosmos is a very wide-ranging cryptocurrency. It has a lot of possibilities because it's a blockchain of blockchains, cryptocurrency, or it's a cryptocurrency on which you write whole blockchains. And so it actually has the potential to be a really big coin in the future. And so this is more of a long-term investment. That's why I'm saying it's more like number 10, but it's pretty intangible right now what value it has. Like I'd say that there's a number of years before you would be able to figure out what you're going to be able to buy with Cosmos. And so that's why I say it's number 10. It's more of a long-term investment. People aren't really going to get on board with it probably for a little bit, if people do at all. So there's an uncertainty with it. It's just that it's like, it's got a lot of potential, as I'll continue to explain here. The number 9 for you to invest in is Crypto.com. Crypto.com is an entire blockchain that's written onto Cosmos. And first of all, there's another reason why Cosmos is good. Crypto.com is an exchange coin. It's one of 2 exchange coins I'm going to bring up today that are in my top 10. It is like the most popular exchange coin is Binance coin, but I would say that the Binance coin, people have already understood its value, and it's like the number 3 or 4 crypto overall. And so it's not the best investment as far as exchange tokens, even though Binance is the most powerful one. I think that it doesn't have as much room to grow for, like, people have already understood its value, and it's not going to like inflate a lot. I think that Crypto.com as an exchange token has more room to inflate, or like it has more room to grow ultimately. And there's rewards programs on there that are like, allegedly they're useful. It's a little bit difficult to actually realize the use of the rewards programs that are on Crypto.com, but they do have a lot of good ones if you're willing to invest time to figure it out. So there's good things about it. Number 8 is Matic Polygon. Polygon is, I don't know a lot about it, but it's an auxiliary Ethereum, essentially. So it's kind of like a backup Ethereum, and is tied in with Ethereum, and is tied in with Ethereum's ability to scale itself into the future. And so I'd say it's pretty underrated. I'll go through this list a little bit quicker here. Number 7 is Kucoin. Kucoin is the second of the exchange tokens that I wanted to bring up. I like it because it's like Cosmos. You get rewarded just for holding it. If you buy the Kucoin token and then you hold it on the Kucoin exchange, you get money back. You get actually a little bit more interest than you get for Cosmos. Like it pays a decent interest for you just for you holding the KuCoin token, and it's the only exchange token that does that. KuCoin is, like, as it stands right now, about the 5th biggest exchange, but sometimes it fluctuates to be the 3rd biggest. But their token, since you get interest on it just by holding it, and people don't really know about that, and it's further down than the Crypto.com one. It's like number 80. I think it has a lot of room to grow as people figure out the utility of the KuCoin token. It's a good exchange to use, and I'd say that that's just kind of a rational investment because exchange tokens generally are doing well because people can right away see the use of them, because you can use like the Binance exchange token and then you get a reduction on fees for when you trade other cryptos. So KuCoin token is a good one to have. I think it has more room to grow even than like, as far as exchange tokens go, KuCoin is probably the most underrated. That's why I have that as number 7. Number 6 is Engine. Engine is the biggest gaming platform crypto, and it's like it's a better investment than any crypto you get that's just a single game or like a metaverse. Like, there's these cryptos that are actually higher in the rankings than Engine that they are just one game, but Engine is a gaming platform and has the potential to include lots of different games as tokens on its entire system. Like, Engine has a lot of potential into the future because gaming is probably going to be the first realm, one of the first areas where crypto will have widespread usage, and gaming itself is growing a lot and has a really bright future. But Engine is the biggest gaming platform crypto, and it's really underrated overall. It's like one of your best investments. I have it at number 6, but basically I'm making the point that there are these cryptos that are just for a single game, such as Decentraland and the Sandbox and Axie Infinity, and those 3 get a lot of recognition. All 3 of those are higher in the rankings than Engine is, but Engine is a platform that could in the future include all 3 of them, and people don't understand that part of it. They just think Axie Infinity is big because that name comes up a lot in crypto, but Axie Infinity is just one game and is only specific to the users of that game, are the only people that are going to end up using that currency ultimately for like any real purposes. So like, and the Sandbox and Decentraland are metaverses, and both of those use those names as their currency. Like, Sandbox uses sand. You exchange in sand within the Sandbox metaverse to buy things, buy features for your character, like clothing or item, like shit that you own or property in the game or whatever. But those are just specific to the game. Engine has a lot more potential than that. It's a good investment. It's really underrated. Number 5 is Luna, the one that I'm talking about today. Luna, let me tell you what I know about it in however much time that I got left. I got 10 hours. I can do a 10-hour episode. It'll be my first one. So it's like Luna is a ecosystem of stable coins where it's called Terra. Luna is on the Terra blockchain. Terra as an entire blockchain is also written onto Cosmos. So like, you see the potential of Cosmos, but that it has Terra, that is its biggest asset. Cosmos's biggest asset is Terra. The Terra blockchain has a bunch of stable coins. Stable coins are like the US dollar tether, which I've explained before. It tethers the US dollar so that if you invest in that crypto, the US dollar tether, you're just getting US dollars essentially, but just a tokenized version of it, and they don't go up or down. They just sit there like it's a bank account. And so there's a lot of these that there are for different currencies across the world. They're called stable coins. Terra as a blockchain it's a collection of stable coins, and those stable coins include, this is the list that I looked up that are on Terra, that are linked to Luna. I'll explain, I'll say them in a second. But like Luna is a reflection of the collection of stable coins that's like Terra is one half of this system that's going on. Luna is the other half. Luna is a crypto whose price tokenizes the collection of stable coins that are offered on Terra, but it's all part of one blockchain. The stable coins offered on Terra are SDT, which is a tokenized version of the International Monetary Fund's special drawing rights. And I don't know a lot about that, but that is a currency that is already a token that countries that are part of the International Monetary Fund exchange in this kind of dollar, and then the SDT tokenizes this. But basically the SDT is a token of a token. And so it's kind of complex, and that helps because it's more encrypting, but that's just one of the stable coins on Terra. Another one is UST, which is a tokenized version of the US dollar. And so it's basically the same thing as the USDT, the US dollar tether, but it's not the same because it's on a different blockchain than the US dollar tether. The UST is the 14th biggest crypto in the world, and it is written onto the Terra blockchain, and it just tokenizes the US dollar. If you put money into it, you just retain the value of however many US dollars you put into it. And then you can exchange that you could exchange that for places that allow you to exchange in UST. And there are places that do allow you to do that. One of the biggest stable coins, most important ones on Terra, is KRT, which is the Korean won. And people are actually exchanging in KRT, this stable coin, quite a bit in Korea. The #1 convenience store in Korea already accepts KRT, and a lot of other places in Korea accept it. And it's getting more widespread usage and adoption in Korea, this stablecoin KRT. And it's the same thing as holding the currency of Korea, which is the Korean won. I guess I don't know for sure if that's both North and South Korea. It might just be South Korea, but they're using this stablecoin that's on Terra, like in real life. But this KRT stablecoin, in conjunction with UST and SDT, and then a number of other stable tokens that are all on Terra, which include AUT, a tokenized version of the Australian dollar, SGT, a tokenized version of the Singapore dollar, EUT, a tokenized version of the euro, and JPT, a tokenized version of the Japanese yen. All of these tokenized versions of these real fiat currencies are all collected into the Terra blockchain. And there's another thing I would need to mention, which is that some of these, like the Australian dollar and the Singapore dollar and the euro token that are on Terra, I don't know that anybody's using them. I think maybe they've just made the technology, but it's I don't know that people are exchanging in those. So some of these tokens, Terra made them, but they're not active, but they're going to be active in the future is what their plan is. But the Korean won, the KRT, which tokenizes the Korean won, and the UST and the SDT are all in use. So there's a few of them that are in use. But so Terra is the blockchain on which Luna exists. It's just that Luna is this other half of the functionality of this entire technology, of this entire blockchain, which is it kind of collects the value of all of the stable coins that are on the other half of it. But it's Luna is like a cryptocurrency. It's not a stable coin, and it fluctuates when people invest in it. And so you can invest in Luna, and the price of the thing that you invested in will go up and down as Luna does, but the stable coins don't. But so what's interesting about Luna is, how did somebody make this technology that is basically the result of stable coins, runs on stable coins, but you can invest in it and you can gain money off of something that, like US dollar, US tokenized version of the US dollar, like you're not going to make money off of that part of it. But the reason that Luna fluctuates, even though it's tied to stable coins, is because Luna as a price, the price of it reflects the value of the technology that collects all of these stable coins into one thing. But like, or in other words, there is no technology that was collecting all of these stable coins before, or like that harness the power of a number of fiat currencies all at once. But Luna, Terra was able to do this, and it's a technology that does that, and nothing like it has yet existed. And basically, Luna as a company, or like Terra as a company, Luna reflects the value of the technology created in Terra, where it collects all of these stable coins into one thing. And it's a collection of all of those into one provides this value that nobody has yet like replicated, that nobody's created before. And so there is all this value, and then that's reflected in the price of Luna. And so like then Luna is like a company with a stock whose money goes up and down, even though it's based on stable coins that you invest money into, where your money doesn't change at all. And so it's a interesting technology. It's pretty unique in the crypto space. I don't know that there are any other cryptocurrencies that do that. So like in comparison to Ethereum and Bitcoin and Dogecoin and Solana, it's like completely unique. And so it's actually gone up quite a bit in the last year, especially in the last like 3 months. I think it's number 8 or 9 ranked right now. And it's kind of uncertain to determine like how much more it can increase, but basically it's really encrypted because of this collection of stable coins. And then you have this Luna that does this thing where you can actually make money off of those. And it's pretty encrypting, so people don't really understand it. And because of that, they're like throwing money at it. Because it's really unique in comparison to other cryptos. Like you can't explain it in the context of Solana and Ethereum, which are just blockchains that you write tokens and NFTs onto. This is a different kind of thing. People don't really understand it, and like I'm basically the only one who's explaining what I just explained about it on their crypto channels. And so people are putting money into it a lot, but it's like yeah, it's a technology. It's a technology that like yeah, I have it at number 5. I don't know if it should be more than that. The reason I don't have it higher is because it is uncertain what potential this thing has, but it actually might have a lot of potential if these other stable coins start to become active. Since Luna is the leader in the game of this kind of crypto that collects a bunch of stable coins under one name. If this continues to happen, you'll have a tokenized version of like all of these countries, and like they're already going after the most important fiat currencies like the euro and the US dollar. They're like, those are the ones they're already trying to make active. The US dollar they've already made active, and it has a lot of usage. This will be the leader in the space of collecting fiat currencies, and it could be one of the biggest, or like it could have the potential to be the biggest thing, because it's like might be the first one where there's real exchange happening with the value of the cryptocurrency. But it's like if you invest in Luna, that affects the stable coins, because the stable coins and Luna are all coins that are under the Terra blockchain, but they're both connected in that way, where if you're investing in Luna, it helps out the value of these stable coins, and also if you invest in these stable coins, it helps the value of Luna. But the way that it works is when there's more demand for the stable coins, which are on Terra, such as the Korean won and the UST, the US token, the KRT and the UST, when people engage in those, when demand goes up, they mint more Lunas, so the supply of Luna increases. And then when there's less demand for the stable coins that are on Terra, the Luna, they burn some Luna. And basically when you burn Luna, you decrease the supply, the price increases. But if you make more Luna, the price decreases generally, like when the supply increases, the price of Luna will decrease, but they make more Luna when there's more engagement for the stable coins that are on Terra. But all of that is to say that Luna affects the stable coins. Meanwhile, at the same time, the stable coins affect Luna. All of it is one system. When money is going into either one of them, it's good for the entire system. But then you see that the reason why Luna is a good investment is because putting money into stable coins, which are already seeing usage as cryptos in the world, practically speaking. You see that it would be easier for the world to go down that route to actually start exchanging in cryptos. You see that Luna is a good investment because it's almost like investing in US dollars themselves, or it's like investing in in fiat currencies themselves or something like that. But Luna is one that potentially collects all fiat currencies into itself one day. And because of its uncertainty, it's at 5. So I like, instead of that, it's lower. Number 4 on my list is Solana. Solana is a good investment because it is the biggest competitor to Ethereum in the NFT space. NFTs are another area that you point to as like, this is one of the areas where cryptos are getting practical use. People are spending Ethereum to buy NFTs, and NFTs are important because you can make an NFT out of anything. Like I can make an NFT out of this golf club set behind me, or out of every single club that's in the set if I wanted to. I'm like, oh, this is a tokenized version of the club, and now it's like, as far as ownership is concerned, like it would be like selling away ownership of it. And so obviously a lot of it sounds stupid because it's like, why would you want a digital version of a club when you can't even use it? Like, maybe that's not a good example. So the club is a physical tool, but like, and NFTs are more for works of art, that it's the value of it entirely is the art. But like, you can make an NFT out of anything, is what I'm saying. But that could extend to a lot of intangible things in the future. Like, NFTs themselves have a lot of room to grow as people understand that, like, what you can make into a token. It's like NFTs as an entire economy represent tokens themselves, or like, what can you tokenize? You can tokenize everything, and like the extent to which you can tokenize everything, this is represented in NFTs. And but like, there are a lot of intangible artistic things, like gaming things, that you like, buying things for your characters in games, or buying whatever you want in games, or anything artistic, or like podcast episodes. There's a lot in the realm of entertainment and gaming that there's a lot of things you can tokenize, and then you'd see that the value of it is just that it exists digitally, rather than that this is something you could actually use in the world. And so Solana is actually made up a lot of ground between them and Ethereum in the NFT space. It's the second biggest NFT platform in the world. So, and I'm saying that like, NFTs is a more direct usage of cryptos themselves than just investing in the cryptocurrency a little bit. But like, NFTs, you buy them in cryptos, either in Solana or Ethereum. But what I'm saying is that there's a lot of NFTs that are minted on Solana. Solana is the second biggest player in the game as far as people minting NFTs. And so this is you would want to look to that because it's more practical than other things for you, like saying, what is the value of it? But I'm saying like Solana in comparison to, say, Cardano, where Cardano is a blockchain like Solana and like Ethereum. It's a competitor on the same level, so to speak. But Cardano has a really shitty, I mean, they have a worse NFT game, and the price has been going down in Cardano generally, I'd say, as a result of people figuring this out, but they're not making strides in the NFT game, and for that reason, they are not a good investment. Cardano isn't, but I'm saying that what you would want to look to as a good investment are the companies that are doing the best with NFTs because that has practical usage right now. So Solana is, and the reason that Solana is making up so much ground is because they have a better, they have faster speeds, faster transaction speeds, and more data. They have more space than Ethereum, so people are actually, they find the value of Solana, where Solana is the fastest blockchain, so people are actually starting to write their projects onto it at faster and faster rates. Solana is a good. So number 3 is Dogecoin. You just refer to my Dogecoin episode if you want for why I think that one's important. Same with Solana, same with Cosmos. I have episodes for Cosmos, Solana, and Dogecoin, and Ethereum. Ethereum is my number 1. Bitcoin is my number 2. Dogecoin is my number 3. The reason I have Dogecoin so high is because it has a lot of exposure, and you can use it to buy a Tesla, for example, and it is dependent on how much does the Elon Musk ecosystem / economy emerge in the coming years. But like that on its own is kind of becoming a giant government. All of the shit that he's tying together, like launching the satellites into the sky to recreate the internet, or like those giant solar, like those giant energy things that you can put in your house that say Tesla on them, that are like they capture solar energy or something and they reduce your electric bills. There's just a lot of shit that Tesla has going on under that name besides cars, but it's like the entire ecosystem under Elon Musk is kind of this emerging economy, and it would appear that he's going to allow all of that to be purchased in Dogecoin. And so like, and if it becomes usable there, it might just after that become usable everywhere. But it's like you can buy things in Dogecoin, and it's basically the same as Bitcoin and has just as much exposure. So that's why I have it at number 3. Bitcoin has a little bit more exposure. Is more trustworthy. That's why I have it at number 2. Bitcoin's more trustworthy. Ethereum is just your best like long-term investment. But Bitcoin and Ethereum, I'd say, are actually pretty close for 1 and 2. But it's like Bitcoin would probably receive mass adoption before any of the other ones would, as far as you actually being able to buy things in it. So that's why Bitcoin is number 2. Ethereum is number 1. So those are my top 10 cryptos. You can invest in any one of them as much or as little as you want. Another thing about Luna is that you can stake it if you want. I'm staking some Luna right now, and so my crypto portfolio updated. I'm trying to get out of the Binance coin and Cardano and buy more Luna and Solana, essentially. But so those are the top 10 to invest in. You can stake Luna and it's pretty easy. If you bought some, you're interested in staking it. It's one of the easiest to stake I've found, because I was able to stake it pretty quickly. You just download the Terra app, and then you can send Luna directly to that. And then you take that Luna and you delegate it to one of the delegators that are listed right on the app. And then once you delegate it, you'll start to receive some Luna as interest for staking it with the delegators. Like Luna has this system where they have like the top 130 people that you delegate Luna to are like running it or something like that. But yes, so that's what I had to say about that. Thank you for tuning in. I'll have more episodes in the future. Goodbye now.